a simple overview I given about. So database models. We discussed about database models and the basic terminology. So database models, and we are learning about database commands. So in the commands, we have seen how to create database, and how do we create collection. Creating database and creating collections. So what is database, what is collection, how data is managed inside, terms difference we discussed. Generally other databases call them as tables. So in MongoDB we have collection. So to create collection, actually we have the syntax db dot create collection and the collection name, and you have options. Actually, while creating collection, the options we have option and a description I will give here actually. So when you are creating a collection, you can define options. Those options are not mandatory. You can ignore that. But if you want what options you can define, so we have an option called auto index ID. Auto index ID. So it is a Boolean value. Auto index ID is a Boolean. Boolean means you can set true or false. Description, what is auto index is, so it defines a an implicit primary key field for every record. For every document, it will put an implicit primary key. That means generally for every record we need a unique reference key. But auto index ID, if you set true, then automatically an ID is generated for every document. That means every record comprises of an ID. Auto ID will be generated. So generally we know in data you need a unique field. Suppose you are storing 10 products. How you can identify any product? Not by name, because name may be same. So every product have a unique IDs. In MongoDB, an auto ID will be there. That means for every record, an automatic ID will be generated. If you don't want, then you can set it to false. By default, it will be true, automatically generated. If you don't want, you can set it false. Another important option for creating collection, you have size. Size is actually a number. Size is a number. What is the concept of size is, you can set the space allocation. You can allocate space. You can put restriction for space. That means size is nothing but it specifies the memory allocated allocated for collection? How much memory is allocated for collection? It specifies the memory allocated for collection. The memory allocated for collection. So this is defined in bytes. We have to define that in bytes. That means how much memory you want to allocate, that you have to define in bytes. That means you want 2 MB, 3 MB. So you cannot write 2 MB or 3 MB. So you cannot write 2 MB or 3 MB. What you can do, you have to convert that 2 MB or 3 MB into bytes. You have to mention the size in bytes. So another important is we have a max. Max is also a number. Max is nothing but, so it defines the maximum number of documents allowed, number of docs allowed. So how many documents allowed? We can put the restriction. We can set max. So you can set the restriction like only 10 documents, only 15 documents. Now, size is some 1 MB or 2 MB you want to allocate. In that, again, if you want to put restriction that a collection should have only 10, you can set it by using max. Suppose you set max as 10. So that means you set the maximum 10. Then what happens if I try to store the 11th one? That depends on capped. Capped is a boolean. So what capped is nothing but if it is set to true. If capped is set to true, then new document. If set to true, then new document. New document cannot be stored in collection. Cannot be stored in collection after the max length. After the max length. That means after reaching the max length, a new document cannot be stored. If false, if set to false, what happens? If set to false, the new document replaces the old. New document replaces old document. That is the capped option is. That means when you set capped can be set to true or false. If capped is false, then what happens? Your limit is 10. You try to store 11th, then it will delete the oldest one and add the 11th. Oldest one means what it will do first? It will delete the first and it will add the new. So every time 10 only will be there, but the old ones will be keep on deleting. The new one will replace. If you set true, then when you try to store 11th, it will show memory full. That means you cannot store the new one, because cap true means no more new values. So there is no space for new value. Capped false means replace the old. So these are not required. If you don't give these options, by default auto index will be true. By default capped will be true. And by default size and max depends on how much memory available on your server. That's not fixed. That varies according to device. Every device have its own memory. Then it depends on the device, how much space, how much memory allocation is required. So these options you can mention. Without that also it is okay. So how do we define? So we have db dot create collection. Suppose we are creating a collection called, suppose, admin. Collection name is admin, and here we have options. Options like auto index id, we can set true or false. You can set as max length. That means, for example, you say size max. Max is suppose 10. You can set as size. Size is what? Size is size is the concept of size is bytes. You have to mention in bytes. How do we mention in bytes? Is actually the bytes is calculated in this way. You know bytes how they calculate. So 8 bits 8 bits is equal to 1 byte. 1024 bytes 1024 bytes is 1 kilobyte. 1024 kb so is 1 MB, and 1024 MB 24 MB is equal to 1 GB. 1024 GB is equal to 1 TB, terabytes. So then suppose I want 2 MB to allocate, then usually we should calculate like this: 1024 into 1024, this is 1 MB, into 2 or 3 into 2, 2 MB. That is the size of 2 MB. So 1024 into 1024, that is 1 MB. This is 2 MB. This is the size of 2 MB. So directly value you have to mention like that. And capped, you can set it to true or false. That's how we have to define a table. So those options are not mandatory. Even you don't define the options, automatically they are defined. Auto index ID and max size and all these things. So yesterday we created tables, we created collections, right? And how to view the collections? So to view existing collections. So we have to use, to view the existing collections, we have to use show collections command. So if you want to remove any collection, you have to use db dot collection name dot drop. Drop method will be there. By using drop method, you can remove any collection. So any collection you want to remove, you can do that. That means like db dot admin dot drop. So admin is the collection name, so you can drop. So creating collection, removing the collections, configuring the collections with options. So for example, let's say MongoDB. So let's connect here. I just created a sample DB. In that you have appointments and users. Now here we have to start working with that. First we have to use. So we have to use sample DB. That means you will switch to the database. After switching to database, you have to run the commands here. So what is the command here is db dot what, create collection name. Collection name, suppose roughly I gave TBL products something. Now in that options you want. What options? Auto index ID. Remember, these all case sensitive. It's just JavaScript like JSON. We call it as BSON here, right? So then they are all case sensitive. Auto index ID is a boolean. It will be like true or false. Another one is, so we have size. Size you mentioned in bytes. So bytes is a number like this. Another one is max. Max is also a number. Another one is what? Capped. Capped will be a boolean true or false. And hit enter, so the collection is created. This time with limits. So show collections, it is going to show the collections, TBL products, appointments and users. If you want to remove the collection, then what you have to do, db dot collection name dot drop. We have to use drop, and the collection is removed. Now show collections. Now you have only two, appointments and users. That is basically how we can manage. So once we configured this, now you see here, next point is how to store data into collection. How we can store data into a collection. That means we need to add some data into the collection. To add data into collection, so to add documents into collection. To add documents into collection, you have to use So you need to configure. Two methods are there. We have insert one and we have insert many. Insert many. Two methods are present. Actually, in older version of MongoDB, we used to have insert also, but now in latest version, it is removed. It is deprecated. So you use only insert one or insert many. Earlier we used to have three. That means even now when you Google for some help on MongoDB, some old tutorials may show you still insert option, which is now deprecated latest. In latest version, they already given a warning about removing this auto index ID. That means currently it is there, but in future releases, they already announced of removing this auto index ID. So currently, okay, it's there, but in coming versions, it is going to be removed. So like that, this insert have usually they used to have a insert. Now only insert one and insert many. So one and many nothing but how do we insert db dot collection name dot what insert one and object contains key and value. You know how to create a JSON object. So key and value like this. And what is the good thing about this is all the values types are same as JavaScript types. JavaScript type. Generally, other databases, their data types are different. They call string as varchar. They call number as integer or int. Here, all are same JavaScript type. JavaScript data types. In JavaScript, how you use the data types same. That means a string, a number, a boolean, an object, an array of objects, everything same. So all the data types are same as JavaScript types. You don't need to worry. Only few things I will show here. See, if it is many, that means like this you can insert only one record. If you want many records to insert, db dot collection name dot what insert many. Many means an array of objects. You know this. Then at a time you can insert multiple records. You can add multiple records. Actually, these are the commands you have to know, because if you are using MongoDB Compass directly through graphical interface, you can add. Through the graphical interface, you can add, you can modify the data and all. So it's not necessary that these commands you have to use to work fast. But these commands are mandatory to understand if you are communicating from any other technology, other language. So directly if you are working, why you need these commands? Not required. What you can do, if you are directly working, suppose now I want to store some data in appointments, then you can click on appointments. You see, you can create collection also here. Create collection. What is the collection name? What are the attributes you want to give for the collection? You can mention those attributes. You want a capped collection or not? Capped collection, just now I showed you. You can directly do that here. Actually, graphically, you can simply design. But you should know the commands to interact with it from a remote application. That's the reason developer should know commands. So in this See, in this, you see how to add document, currently appointments. If you want to insert a document, simply add and you can insert document. Another facility is if you already have some data in a JSON file, you can import it here. If you already have some data in a JSON file, that JSON file directly you can import. That means it will just use that JSON. For example, if you remembered, in our project, we have created some JSON data roughly, right? You can directly import them into a table. First, I will show you here how you add data, insert document. In insert document, you can define the document. Here, document is defined. So like this, that means you have a document. Document have fields. What are the fields we discussed? You know JSON. JSON means keys are string type, mandatory. Remember, if you miss any format, so if you miss the structure schema, then it is unable to insert. You see, insert button is not highlighted. Insert button is not highlighted means there is something mistake in your JSON. JSON syntax issues also will be there. Actually, here two views are there. To view the documents, we have two views will be there. Currently, we don't have document. We will put here. What is it first? We discussed that appointment requires an appointment ID. Appointment ID. Appointment ID. So I will give as 1. And you see the format here. You can click the format. This is appointment ID. And you see the data type. So that means is it a integer or a date or a double or a max key object? You can select. Even it can be a regular expression also, string regular expression. Actually, you learned JavaScript data types. Number means it can be so many now. Number means I told you, if you learned in JavaScript, signed, unsigned, floating point, double, decimal, all this comes under number. Right? Usually, this is so the appointment ID. You can design in two ways. You can create in a formatted way or you can create in a JSON type. Right? Finally, command actually requires this. In design, it is easy for you to configure. You want another field. That means add another field. So, and this field, what is it? So, appointment have a title. And what is the title of that appointment? And what is the data type? String type. Title is suppose some so friend birthday, something like this we define. Now it's the data type. Another one, I'm adding another field. Okay. What is it? Another field is what? Description. We created description. Description. So here something about birthday, something gift, something like this we are writing. That's also string type. And another field here, what is it? Date. Here date data type is a date, that is the date type. Then we need to configure the date. How you configure the date means how we mention the dates and define the date. Here actually when you mention the date in normal format, normal date, so that means year month day is the format. And you know in JavaScript we have a date constructor. By using the date constructor, we need to configure the date, right? So, but JSON directly will not allow the constructor. JSON will not allow directly the constructor. That means in JSON, functions are not allowed. You learn JSON will not allow functions. JSON is only data now. Object means it can contain both data as well as function. But JSON is only format of data. It will not allow functions. So in that case, then how? Suppose I mentioned in the format. It should be in year, month, day, right? So 2024. So 03, some 12, like this I define. Now, once I mentioned that the data type, I changed it to date type. You see, it will change the date type in this way. That is the format of date. Now, similarly, suppose you have configured this. So that is the date type defined here. But this date, so you see, I mentioned like this in a quote. That means like a string. It is not allowed. It is not allowed to store like that. You see, insert is not working. Suppose you see the data type here. Let's say it is a string type generally. Let's put it as a string. Okay. Now, once you configured like a string type, I will show you here. Yeah. Yeah. Now, this is the string type date is configured. How to convert that I will show. We will see that format of date. Now, in the string type, here I will remove all this. We'll just keep it as like this. What is that we are having? I think, yeah, we will add insert document. Yeah, let's remove this. We will put a document. What it is? Appointment underscore ID. That is one. Second one is title. Title is some birthday. Okay. Another one is what? Description. Description is also something about birthday, something about birthday, and we have a date. Okay, date is some date. You write in a format like this. Suppose I am writing 2024, so 03, some 12. And when you insert this, now observe here, we are inserting, that is inserted. But this is given as a string. You see now, you click on edit and it should be converted into which format? Date format. And update, it is updated into date format. When it is updated into date format, see the object structure. So date is considered as an object. Usually in JavaScript, what we do, we will use a date constructor. By using date constructor, we pass the date values in JavaScript. But this is a bsun type, like bsun type. In that, what happens is it provides any complex data in an object form. It provides the complex data in an object form. Object form, that means you see date is an object, and see date object is stored by using a date directive. It is a date directive. Actually, in JavaScript, we use a date method, but in JSON type methods are not allowed. Then we have to use what? $date. And date must be in which format? Year, month, day. Year, month, day. So if you are configuring the date, then you should use an object. So this we graphically done. But if you want to define through the syntax, then what you have to do? You have to write like this. What is it? DB dot collection. Collection is what? Appointments. Appointments dot what? Insert one. In that we have to put an object. Object have appointment ID. Appointment ID, and it is 1. We have a title. Title is what? Some birthday. And we have a description. Through command, you don't need to mention like string. In JSON format, you have to mention like string, right? And here, so something about birthday. And another, so we need a date. So how do we configure the date? Date is an object. In this object, we have to use $date, and here we need to define the date. That is the format it is having, right? So that is $date. And in this, you have to mention the date format directly enough, because we are using command now. And date must be in year, month, day. That's how we define the date. You can configure the date in this way. You can insert multiple records or you can insert one. So, for example, we want to store some users details. So you want to store some users details. Appointment already I stored. Let's actually this appointment is also having a user ID. That means one more field is there. Huh? Actually, one more field is there for this. Edit. We need to add one more field. Add a field. This is user ID. Whose appointment is this? In data I showed you now. So we say some John underscore NIT. That is the user. His appointment is this. How to edit through commands I will show. We'll see that point. So this is the data we are having. Now how do we add users? Already we added appointment. So how to add the users is, for users, what is the data? We have user ID, username, password, and mobile and email. So what you do, db dot users dot what? Insert one. And here user ID. User ID is John underscore NIT. Then user name. Username is John. So password. Password is John at the net 123. Another is mobile. Mobile is some plus 910. And another one is email. Email is some john at gmail.com. These are the details. And hit enter. That means it is going to insert one record there. It's going to add the document and display. This is just the concept of to understand how to insert a document. I inserted this one and users. I'll just keep the rough option for that. So this is another one. This is for what? Users. Same thing. If you want multiple, you need to put an array. There is another facility is here in this I will give one more, because according to our data, you need one more field. What is the field? User ID. User ID is what? John underscore NID. Because we have relation between these two tables. Every user have an appointment. That means this appointment belong to that particular user. That is the basic point we define. Okay, now this is how we can store the data. If any large amount of data is already there, you can just upload a JSON file and use it. You can use the JSON file and use. For example, I will show you here. Suppose we have Fake Store. In Fake Store API, we will go to the Fake Store /products. This is going to return some 20-30 products. I will copy all the data and I will open a notepad. I will paste all this data and I will save this in my PC as some file called some fake store.json. I am saving as a JSON. And if I save this, okay, close. Now I want all this data in a database. Then what you do? Table. Here, first we will create a table. db.create collection. Collection name is what? Products. Now into the collection we want to add all the records. In graphical, what you can do in this, so once refresh, the products is there. Go to the products. Here we can add data, import JSON. Import JSON. So on desktop, I have saved the fake store JSON file. You select it, that file is ready. And you just click on import. In the 20 documents are there, all are added. And the data type is automatically determined accordingly. And you see rating is an object type. That object contains rate and count. All are added into this. So if you want to add multiple records, what you do is just keep a JSON file, add all the data into this and just upload it. Automatically it will be stored into the database, right? So, but actually I just showed you here, but actually we will design a form from where user will register, then those data will be stored. I just created only one sample data. Actually, for this we design an interface. From the interface, user will enter the data and he will store the data into these tables, into appointments and into users, right? We just maintained one sample record in that. This is basically how we can manage. That means how we can handle the data. So what is the data we are having? So for users and this. So now after storing the data, how we can view the data? That means querying documents from collection. How you can query documents from collection? How you can query documents from collection? To query documents from collection, how you can read? You have db.collection, collection name .find. You have a find method. This find method is expecting a query. You can write the query here. So actually here little bit different from others actually, this query is. So if you define the query empty. This means it is nothing but it returns all records, all documents. That means in find empty query means all. It returns all the documents. Just like array have a filter and find. Right here find is for one or multiple. Generally in array find is only for one. Here it is for both. And here this indicates all. No, I want to find any specific. The record whose name is this, whose category is this. Then what you can do is, so we can define like this. We can use the query field name and colon value. This is nothing but, so it refers to exact match or equal to. It refers to exact match or equal to. Exact match or equal to. So here this is exact match or equal to. If you want to query based on other specification, equal to means what? Exact match. This is exact match. That means the field name should match with the value. So it should match with that particular value. If many are matching, it will return all. Only one is matching, it will return only one. For example, see now. We just created products collection. And here you see, in this collection, I will add db.products.find and an empty query. It is going to return all. That means it is going to return all 20 records. That means all the records it is going to return. So all the records it is going to return. But I want only few records. What are the few records is, I want only a record whose ID is 5. Then how do we search for that? db.products.what? Find and query field name. Field name is ID matching with 2. Then only that record will come. That means it is going to return only the record whose ID is 2. Only one record is there. So if I write like this, db.products.find, and here I say category as jewelry, like this. Now what it will do? It will return all products whose category is jewelry. Equal to, this is equal to. That means you say enter, then it is going to return all. That means it is going to show equal to, all equal to. 1 second. वही पटिया नहीं गिरेगा। अरे कल का हुआ जा रहे हो, कल जैसे सुनो ना, कल हम लेटरिन में गया तो पानी नहीं था, तो चालू किया जा करके, चालू किया तो साला बोले तक नहीं आ रहा कुछ हफ्ता पड़ गया, तो देखे कि नल खुला हुआ और बर्तन धोइस था, कपड़ा धोइस था, कागज था, परसों की बात बता रहे हैं। तो देख रहे नहीं, कल ही का बात, कल ही का जुम्मन था, कल ही का। तब फिर देखा कह रहे तो नल खुला हुआ, या तो कोई का बच्चा खोली सा होगा, या कोई औरत अगली पगली एक है बेटी वो खोली सा होगा, ना किसी को कुछ हो रहा। Yep. So this is returning all records which are matching with the jeweler, right? This is equal. So this is equal or exact match. You want conditions. Here we cannot write any operators. So what operators we can define here is, we have dollar $GT. This is for greater than. So we have like dollar $GTE. This is greater than or equal. So we have like dollar $LT. This is for less than. So we have like LTE, less than or equal. Less than or equal. So we have like dollar NE. NE for not equal. So not equal. Already, so this equal is there. Equal is above mentioned. So that refers to equal, that refers to match. You can use dollar $end. You know, this is a logical end, right? We have dollar $OR. This is like logical OR. These are some important operators you need to know to query these operators. Generally, for our application, we don't need these operators every time, but some important operators, how do we write? Right? We'll see. For example, suppose here, let's say I'm giving here db dot products dot what find the field. Field is what? So suppose we have category. Category is matching with some jewelry. This is finding the exact match. So db dot products dot find, we are searching for ID is 2. This is also exact match. We want to find the records whose price is above 500. So price is above 500. Then you have to write the query like this: db dot products dot find. Here we have price. Price is the field, colon. It needs a query again. Query should be again written like an object. In that object, we have dollar $GT and colon 500. That's how we write the query. That means the price is greater than 500. So that is how we define the query. The price is greater than 500. Right. So usually the products, we can have multiple queries also. See, it will return all the products whose price is above 500. Now here I am writing db dot products dot find the query. In that price is the field and again a query for that price. That is $GT colon how much? 500 means greater than 500. Now this is going to return the data. You see some 695, that is one product, and another product is 599, that is the product. Suppose and another one is 999. These three products are there. It is showing all those three products. Now important here is, see, we are not learning all the queries. I am explaining few queries. I will give one document. In the document, all query commands will be there. You can practice them. Different query practices will be there. So here, suppose I want to find the products between 600, 500 and 800. Then how? So you need an AND operator or operators. And how do we use that? For example, see, suppose many conditions, like I want here the products with price above 500, but it should belong to only jewelry, not others. Here electronics also coming. Above 500 only jewelry. Then usually we should write like this: db dot products dot find. If you are looking for multiple and all should match, then we have to use $end. $end and this end, that is nothing but logical end. Logical end expects multiple expressions. Multiple expressions are written as an array. In that array, expression 1, expression 2, expression 3, like that any you can mention. And what is the first expression? First expression, the category must be what? Jewelry. The category must be jewelry. What is the second expression? Price. That means price, again expression. Price is $GT, how much? 500. That's how we write. This may look little complex when you see in one glance, but you have to put a structure first, then you can write. That means what is the basic structure? $end. So this is the query, $end, and we have an array. In this array, you have first expression and we have second expression. Like this we need to define. So that is how we define the queries. The expression 1 and expression 2. So or and they are defined in this. That is a simple find query here, how we can find. So see here now, suppose, so I am using the query, yeah. Here I am using db.products.find. The query requires $end and having multiple expressions. The one expression is what? Category. Category is jewelry. And second expression is what? So price. Price again query. $GT, how much? 500. And it is going to return only this one product which is matching. So that is how we write the queries. And or embedded combination also you can define. Suppose I want either jewelry or all products above 600. Then instead of and, you have to use what? Or. Now you want between 400 to 600 price. Then and. First query is price greater than 400. Second query is less than 600. We have to write that. We have to use and. Price is greater than 500 or 400 and less than 600. Two queries, three queries. You can combination here. This is the commands how we can manage. Right. Now this is finding how we can get the data and display the data. These commands are not required, especially when you are working in the graphical interface. Means in graphical interface also, you can just search for what you are looking for. You can build queries in graphical interface. It will show you drop downs and ask which operator you want. You can select. But commands are important for us to communicate from any location. Next important, this is reading the records, inserting the records and reading the records. Now how do we update and delete the records? The next option is update document. We have two methods because I am showing you CRUD operations, because that is what we are going to do in our React. For CRUD operations, what are the commands required? CRUD means inserting, so reading, updating and deleting. So updating, we have update one and we have update many. Update one, update many. Actually, how the update query works? db dot collection name. In that, we have to use update one. First, two queries are required. One query is related to find. This is find query. This is find query and this is update query. Two queries are required, the find query and update query. The find query and update query. So collection update one, the find query and update query. So find query we know. Already find query we just know we saw. Because which one you want to update, first you have to find it. After that we can update. So update operators are these. We have like dollar set, like dollar unset, like dollar rename. These are important. Set, unset and rename. Actually set is to change value in any field. Unset is to remove field and rename is to change field name. That's what you have to do. Any field name you want to change, any field name you want to remove, any field name you want to set. These are for changing. For example, I want to change price of second product. Second product price is some price I want to change. For example, see here. Suppose you see fifth one. The fifth product price is 695. I want to change fifth product price as some 700, right? So then what we do? We need to put the option like this: db dot what? Products dot update one. See, update one or update many depends on your find query. If your find query is returning more than one, then it is update many. If it is returning only one, then update one. So update one, what is the find query? Find query is what? ID as 5. And what is the update query? Update query, we have to use $set. What to set? What to set? We have to set price to 700. That's how we do. We can set multiple fields at a time. So price 700, some rating something, so some description, something like that. Because this is an object type. In object type, you know how to mention multiple comma, another field name and value. That's an object. Multiple fields you can set at a time. So that is how you can update any record. So here you want to update the records. So what you have to do, db dot products dot what? Update one. Update one. Find query ID is what? 5. And the update query $set. Set what? So set price as 700. And it is going to set matched one, modified one. And you see db dot products dot find and ID as 5. Then the price of that is changed to 700. So we can update. You can change any field name. So we can modify the fields. If you want to modify the field, db dot products dot update many this time. What to find? So empty. What does this means? All. Find all. And what you have to do is $rename. Rename is nothing but it is expecting the old name. Old name, we have to mention the old name. Old name is suppose price and it is changed to cost, something like that. That means wherever the option price is there, field name will be changed to cost. You can change the field names. So you keep empty, then that field will be removed. If you say empty string means the field will be removed. You have to use then not rename. You have to use what? Unset. $unset and price and empty. Then automatically that will be removed. Right? And it's here find query your wish. Suppose I want to rename only for the products which are jewelry and above 500 price. That means you have to write that in your find query. This find query will use AND or operators. Only those matching will be renamed. Those matching will you can set. Right? You can use update one or update many. Right? That is the option. Next, another option is delete documents. We have two methods. One is so delete one and we have delete many. Delete one, delete many, simple, same db dot products dot delete one. Delete one. And what is the one to delete? Here it is expecting find query. Just find query you have to write. And db dot products dot delete many, delete one. Suppose I am just giving. So ID is what? Some 3. It will remove that. db dot products dot delete many. And what we do here in the query, we are using $end. $end is an array. First query is category. Category is what? Suppose jewelry. Jewelry. Category is jewelry. And second one is category as electronics. That means it will delete both of those categories. So it will delete both categories, categories jewelry and categories electronics. You can put any another condition there, right? Multiple. So depending on your find query, you can delete one record or you can delete multiple records here. These are the basic commands enough to understand all the CRUD operations. So because to communicate with the data in our database, you need 4 basic operations: inserting, updating, deleting, and reading, right? So now you have these queries. The delete is same, right? You can test here. Suppose I want db dot products dot what delete delete one. I want to delete the record here whose id. So id is some 2. Then it is going to delete that record. That means now there is no 2 record there. So you can check in the graphical interface in the products. When you click on these products here, it will show the records, and the first one is there, and second one refresh once. Yeah, now only 19 records are there. That means it is the first and second one is not there. Many records, same thing, you have to define that. So now you know all the basic CRUD commands, means how to create database, create a collection, and store data, read the data, update the data, and delete. Now, can React directly interact with the database? It cannot directly interact with database. For that, you need a server-side script. For that, we will use an API now, application programming interface. What is this API? How these APIs are designed? For that, what technologies are used for creating those APIs? For understanding API, some more points you need to understand. Actually, API is handling communication between the client and the backend database. So, what is this API? Why you need this API? And how the APIs are created, right? Once you design this, now you can communicate with your React. So React can communicate with the database. We'll see next session. In the next session, we will discuss about working with the APIs. We will create our own APIs. Once it is ready, then we can build an interface for this entire project so that we can handle all CRUD operations. Okay. So Monday we'll continue with that. Right.